Hey guys, today I'll be reconstructing my 25.3 FMC mean from Worlds. This mean won the comp, which was kind of unexpected because in practice, in the weeks leading up to it, I had really been struggling with FMC, and my 29 flat mean at Canberra kind of showed that. But with this, now I'm a lot more confident with FMC going into my 3 other means this summer, which includes US Nationals. So yeah, let's get into the first solve. So on this solve, the first thing I noticed was that from red and orange front EO, there's 8 bad edges, but they're in really good spots. So on the R face, you have these 3 bad edges, and on the L face, you have these 3, and then the other 2 are over here. So you can put all the bad edges on the L and R faces by just doing an F, which also makes this pair over here. And then now you just have to do an R and an L move to complete EO. And I noticed that L prime makes another pair, so I did that, and then an R to finish EO. So that's a 3-move EO, and at this point I switched to inverse. So in inverse, the first thing I noticed was that this white-orange edge here could be connected with this pair to make a square like that. So D prime B makes a square, and then you can finish the 2x2 by moving this white-green edge to there and doing an L2, but that breaks this pair. So what I did first was U prime F to hide the pair, and then U2 L2 to finish the 2x2. That ended up giving me 4 pairs, which was really lucky. And then from here, it took me a little while to find this, but after messing around a bit, I stumbled upon U, B prime, U prime, which made this 1x2x3, which connected to these 2 edges, and then this square over here also. And I knew that doing F U2, or U2 F prime, sorry, on normal, would make this into an F tilde minus 1, so then at this point I switched back to normal. So after switching back to normal, you have this. You can finish a 2x2x3 by doing a U2, and then this square is here, so you can do an F prime to make an F tilde minus 1. And it also has this last F2L pair here, but there wasn't much I could do off this. So instead of using this F tilde minus 1, I inserted this pair by doing F L2, F prime L2, which also takes this pair out. And that cancels 2 moves because the last move of the previous F tilde minus 1 is an F prime, and to start with an F. So, and then after this, it's a very obvious continuation to 3C. You just insert the pair like that, and then AUF for 3C. And that was 3C in 20 moves. And then at this spot in the skeleton, you notice that to solve the corners, you can do BU, B prime, D2, BU prime, B prime, D2. This cancels 4 moves because the first move was a B, which cancels with the B that was in the skeleton. And then this ends with B prime D2, and the skeleton from here continues with D2 B prime. So that canceled 4 moves, and it gave me a 24 on the first solve. So yeah, kind of lucky with the blocks just working out, and this insertion canceling 4, but it's a 24. So yeah. So for the second solve, I started on inverse. So from green front, there are 6 bad edges here, 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 and then these 3 on the back. So I did a B to reduce it to 4 bad edges, and then from here you can either do RD2 to put all the bad edges on the front, or D prime R, which I did, and then an F to finish EO, which also gave these 3 pairs, which is pretty nice. And then from here I switched to normal. So on normal, the scramble looks like this with that EO start, and I noticed that there's this pair here, and these 2 green orange and green yellow edges are solved. So there's a lot of different ways to make the 2x2 from with the pair here, and how I chose to do it was by making the square like that, R prime D2 R, and then D2 to connect it to the green orange edge. And then I immediately noticed this line here, which could be made into a 1x2x3 by bringing this red yellow edge over, and then doing a U prime. And then from here, there wasn't too much I could do, but I just played around with some blocks, and eventually I found this. So if you bring this down like that, you can bring this yellow blue edge to the back, and then insert it, which also gives this square here. So it gives a pseudo F tilde minus 1 with a square and like this pair here. And then I immediately did that for 4 corners in 17, but I noticed right away that the skeleton here ends with U prime R prime, and if I do this commutator, that comm starts with RU, which cancels 4 and gives me 21 to 3 corners right away. So I just went with that. I did check the rest of the skeleton for more cancels, but I couldn't find anything. And then at this spot in the skeleton, you're left with a nick loss, which can be solved like this: D prime B U B prime D B U prime B prime, which cancels 2 because the D2 and the D prime cancel, and then B prime and B2 cancel, and that left me with a 27. Yeah, I wasn't too happy with the solve, but the scramble looked the nicest of the 3, but I couldn't find that much. So, and now for the third scramble, I also started on inverse, and I did white front EO. So there's again 6 bad edges, so 3 here and then 3 on elsewhere on the cube. So I did on inverse, I did a D to reduce it to 4 bad edges, and then I switched back to normal. So when you switch back to inverse, the scramble looks like this, and immediately I noticed this one move square here that can be made with F prime, and my first instinct was to connect it to the white blue edge that was already solved to make a 2x2 in 6 moves, and it also had these 3 pairs which were kind of nice, but there wasn't much I could find off this. So instead of connecting it right away, I did an R, and then now I connected this pair to this edge with L2 D2 L2, which makes that 2x2, and then finished it with an R, and that gives me a lot more blocks. There's this pair here, this one here, this line here, and then this pair that's connected to that. Then after messing around for a while, I decided to just insert these 2 F12 pairs without caring about this edge. So I inserted this one first, and then this one, and that leaves me with 3E3C and 16 moves. But I also noticed right away that I can just solve the edges, and there's this really big line here that I know will be preserved, and that leaves 3C and 20 moves. And then at this point in the skeleton, you have a nick loss, which you can solve like this. So DL D prime R prime DL prime D prime R, and that canceled 3 moves because the R and R prime cancel, and then there's D prime D2 which also cancels. So yeah, that canceled 3 moves, and it gave me a 25 on the solve. And I knew this was a 25.3 mean, but I wasn't sure if I had won with this because I knew Sebastiano Tronto had 25 and 24 going